I get so lazy about talking about this stuff because I'm inured to it. The drill is I get panicky when I hear something, I stop to figure it out, come to a conclusion about it after I ask God, and then I calm down and end up not saying anything about it. But it happens daily, so I have to at least talk about it, get it out there. Today's theater was the old woman next door screaming at what sounded like a child. The child seeming to be screaming, "Dad, Dad!" I heard this all the way through my closed windows, so I went outside and stood outside the old woman's upstairs apartment open windows. She closed her windows, yelling, "Open!" or she closed her windows, yelling, "Pick up your socks and underwear. Your socks and underwear are all over the floor. Pick up after yourself. Do you hear me? Now you understand? You will never leave your clothes on the floor again," and on and on. Nothing from the child, but she didn't close the windows all the way. Then it was quiet. She lives alone, by the way. So I went to the other side of the house where her apartment is. It is a narrow path with bright lights along the wall. Why? Why are there gigantic bright lights in a little alleyway, little pathway? The basement is soundproofed, just like the house on my other side, and it's all for me. The old woman has done this before multiple times, sometimes using the same script. The child's voice is a recording. This whole area around me is comprised of actors. I watch them move in and out and move around and park their cars in front of other houses. Different sets of children move in and out. The other day I heard a baby crying loudly and in distress. I hurried outside to the alley where I know different children stay at different times across the alley. There was a woman holding a baby, a beautiful little boy with blonde hair, sniffling and sucking his thumb. She told him, "You're going home." Another woman came out and said, "Let him drink this." This scenario or other similar one occurs over and over with different children and babies, usually always blonde, usually a toddler boy and a slightly older girl. This has gone on for long enough that this particular baby boy, if it's the same one, should have been 3 or 4 years old by now at least. And if it's a daycare, why are they always blonde? Why do the adults always change that live there? Sometimes it's a man and a woman, sometimes it's 2 women. Or could be more than 2 people. I don't know. It changes all the time. Why do these neighbors know each other? This entire block exchanges living quarters and cars. I've seen the guy upstairs with the huge dog. His old car that he used to have is up at the end of the street now in their driveway. They park cars on the street in their they park cars for months, sometimes years, and then you'll see them somewhere else. One I'm thinking of was parked in front of next door, before that in front of my house, before that in front of 2 doors up. This is all the same car at different years. They're parked in different places and nobody's ever in them, except for this one time I saw somebody in it. And now it's in front of across the street's house. That particular car had a poor German Shepherd in the back seat with the windows rolled up to a slit in the back windows in summer. This was over 3 years ago when I still walked around the neighborhood. I saw a homeless guy later on that day inside the car living in there because there was all kinds of stuff in there like packages and food and all kinds of stuff in there, and the dog was in there too. And after I talked to him, he said to take the dog, so I took the German Shepherd and went to a vet. It was microchipped. He was microchipped. So I called the people, the owners, and they said they were military and that they didn't get along. This dog didn't get along with their other dog, so they had to give him up. And then they were also moving or something like that. And then they said that they gave the dog to a retired military guy, an older guy. And but this guy was he was young, and he was a homeless guy, and he was strung out. He looked like he was on drugs, and he was obviously not an older retired officer. I think they said he was. And so the couple came and picked up the German Shepherd, but I didn't have a good feeling about it. And knowing what I know now, years later, I wish I had never even called this couple or tried to find their owners, because I don't believe that anything good happened to that German Shepherd after that. I think this putrescent little society has been planted and replanted into my neighborhood for a reason. And I think I figure into the puzzle. Somehow, it will all come out. I could cite hundreds, maybe 1,000 details that will add up to exposure, spectacular exposure. So get your popcorn and settle in, or cry into your beer, or fall down and give thanks to Almighty God that He's righting the world at last, or at the very least, my pretty old neighborhood. Oh, and by the way, I've both called and gone in person to the police and several times, and they don't believe me. I've called PETA and gotten disconnected. I believe they have my phone cloned, or however you do that. And recently, I've gone to animal law enforcement and was met with a shameful lack of interest. But I have faith that this will get out. I have hope that healing can begin. And I have all the love I can hold in my heart for any victims in this, including myself.